A fiery early morning crash in Midtown Toronto. A car believed to be stolen was driven through a red light and collided with two TTC buses. Good afternoon. 4 people have been sent to hospital.
Collision reconstructionists are at the scene trying to piece together what happened. CTV Sean Leithong is live with the very latest. Sean.
Well, Nathan, Michelle, I'm standing at the northwest corner of Eglinton and Bathurst, and I'm going to step out of frame so you can get a sense of just what we're seeing right now. You can see one of the vehicles, the car, just pressed up against the sidewalk, and then to its right, you see that TTC bus. Of course, we know the flames were intense, and you can see what is left. The entire driver's side of that bus completely burned out. The inside of the car itself also burned out, and we're learning today that the driver of that bus may have, in fact, saved the life of the driver of the Honda.
Flames pouring out of a vehicle trapped between 2 TTC buses after a violent collision early this morning.
It is alleged that the Honda motor vehicle was traveling at a high rate of speed eastbound on Eglinton Avenue West and struck a northbound TTC bus.
It was 4:48 a.m. The force of the collision sending both the car and the bus into the westbound lanes, crashing into another bus. The driver of the vehicle becoming trapped, the driver of the bus coming over to help.
That driver actually pulled the occupant of the Honda out of the vehicle.
The driver of the Honda was transported to hospital with life-threatening injuries. 3 other people, including the driver of one of the buses, was transported to hospital with minor injuries.
We've also have early indications that the Honda motor vehicle was actually stolen.
Eglinton Avenue remains closed for the investigation. There's a large debris field scattered across 3 lanes of traffic. Police saying it's a sign of just how fast the car was driving. Collision reconstruction is on scene.
Now, we received a statement from the local ATU 113 about what happened. President Marvin Alford saying, "We're very proud of our operator who acted with composure when the incident occurred and reacted swiftly in the face of danger by pulling the unconscious motorist from the burning car, despite his own injury. By rescuing the motorist, the operator acted selflessly and went beyond his duties to ensure the safety of others. He's proud to be able to help someone in danger." The operator mentioned that he didn't stop to think. He just acted. We, as a union, are proud to call him a selfless hero. Now, you can see what's just happening at the scene right now as police are working to investigate, but they're also trying to clear the intersection as it appears it will be closed for quite some time. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Nathan, Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Sticking to the roads, an electric unicycle rider is on shaky ground after striking a pedestrian.
Motorized unicycles are not allowed on roads and sidewalks, raising concerns about ongoing pedestrian safety. CTV's John Musselman is in Etobicoke with that story. John.
Well, Michelle, this happened behind me on Lakeshore Boulevard West and 26th Street. We'll show you some video last night. It happened around 10 o'clock last night. According to police, this electric unicycle was moving along Lakeshore Boulevard. We're not sure specifically if it was in a bike lane or on the sidewalk, but there was a collision with the pedestrian. Now, that pedestrian was injured and taken to hospital. So was the electronic unicycle rider. He was also taken to the hospital. Now, we did speak to people today who say they are concerned about e-bikes and unicycles on sidewalks and on the roadways, especially for their safety. Now, as you mentioned, Toronto police tell us that there are exemptions for e-bikes and some of the e-scooters, but there is no exemption for unicycles that are only allowed on private property. But here's what one pedestrian had to tell us this morning.
You hate to see kids riding on the street, but there's a lot of seniors that get hurt, right?
Now, police also tell us these electric unicycles can do up to 70 kilometers an hour. That's part of the concern here, and that's why the municipality of Toronto only allows them on private property. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Still ahead on CTV News at noon, Hurricane Milton takes direct aim at Florida with the potential to be the most destructive storm in a century. We'll have more on the evacuation efforts coming up a little later in the newscast.
But first a look at the forecast here. Here's a live shot of the city. A cooler start to the day, but there is some sunshine and some clouds. There's also a chance we could get some showers. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Jessica.
Nathan, I want to touch quickly on the hurricane because we're watching this very, very closely. Tampa, for example, is about 48 feet above sea level, and we could see the waves kind of getting up to about 20, and we're watching for this to really kind of overtake some homes. We'll track this throughout the day, obviously. And as you mentioned here at home, a little unsettled, but a much different weather story. We're looking at showers kind of focusing areas west and east of the city. For the most part, the downtown core is staying dry, but the GTA is expecting a few light showers. Temperature-wise, it is noticeably cooler. Another really gusty day, northwesterly wind becoming westerly later on this afternoon with gusts between 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. So it will be noticeably cool outside. And we're going to hold on to these temperatures that are kind of around the seasonal mark for another day or so before we see things start to shift a little warmer as high pressure returns to our forecast and we settle into what is going to be a beautiful start to the Thanksgiving weekend. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. Right now, I'll send it back over to Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Jess. We have more details today to share with you on what a promised audit of the Children's Aid Society will look like.
The province says the review will help ensure the needs of children and youth are met. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live with the details. Siobhan.
Well, the Premier promised this audit back in the summer, talking about an unfortunate situation in child welfare. It's something that critics, though, have called a crisis. Today, the government starts the search for the third party that will carry out this audit. This review will look at 37 of the non-Indigenous Children's Aid Societies across Ontario, taking a look at things like their finances, their staffing, and the needs of the children they serve. We have heard from some staff members who work in these places, and they say what they need is more money. It's because the needs of children are increasingly complex to the point that some parents are actually surrendering their children because they can't find adequate community supports out in the community for things like mental health supports. The minister in charge has defended the current funding levels, but he says the audit aims to make sure that all children are well cared for and can succeed. The goal of this review is for it to be done by the spring. Now, this is separate from an investigation by Ontario's ombudsman looking specifically at the practice that's been unfolding of housing children in places like hotels, even offices, something he says is deeply troubling, raising concerns about safety and privacy. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. New concerns are being raised about the $10 a day daycare program.
Some childcare center operators are warning parents they may pull out of the program. It's a program that's been helping parents with the heavy burden of childcare. But in the last few weeks, parents with kids in for-profit centers have been put on notice.
It was devastating to see a letter like that.
Letters warning their centers may pull out of the national childcare program, potentially doubling fees.
At that point, it's not worth it for one of my wife or I to work. What message is that sending for my wife? Because she would probably be the one to stay home with the kids.
The letters come ahead of a tweaked funding formula that takes effect in the new year. Some private operators argue it will leave them with less flexibility and decision-making power, while childcare advocates agree the transition isn't an easy one.
To go as far as saying, they're going to pull out of the program or close down a center or put parent fee reductions at risk, I think is not reasonable.
Fern says it's part of an organized campaign putting pressure on governments through parents.
Let's keep the revenue replacement model, but let us raise our fees. Well, no, that's the entire point of what we're doing here.
Heather Kay wasn't entirely surprised to receive one of these letters from the center that cares for her 2 kids, but she's confused since there's been government funding to top up pay and reduce fees.
There's a disconnect here. I don't want to say who's telling the truth, but as a parent, it's hard to sort of get to the bottom of what's happening.
But the federal and provincial governments are pointing fingers at each other. Ontario's education minister says she empathizes with parents and writes in part, Ottawa must provide more funding, lift the cap on for-profit providers, and give more flexibility so that providers can cover their costs and create necessary spaces. Meantime, Ottawa accuses Ontario of dragging its feet on announcing the funding formula and on creating new spaces. The federal minister firm on prioritizing not-for-profit centers, writing, "We have seen what happens when we privatize healthcare. It leads to increased costs, unequal access, and disparity in quality. It wouldn't be fair to parents or our children to let the same happen with our national childcare system." Not the resolution parents are looking for.
Parents need clarity.
We need all levels of government to kind of figure out this existential crisis together.
Toronto police are searching for a suspect in a voyeurism and criminal harassment investigation. On Friday night at around 10, police were called to the Queen and Leslie area. A woman reported a suspect was watching her through a window at her home, and he fled on a bike when confronted. Police say 52-year-old George Braid of Toronto is wanted for voyeurism, criminal harassment, and failed to comply to conditions. They're asking any witnesses or anyone who may have captured it on video to get in touch.
New analysis is putting a dollar figure on the damage caused by flooding across southern Ontario back in August. 2 days of heavy rainfall that month prompted significant damage in parts of the region. Initial estimates shared by the Insurance Bureau of Canada put the figure at more than $100 million. That brought the summer's total to more than $1 billion in insured damage, the vast majority of which was caused in July's flash floods. Well, Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall in Florida in the next 24 hours. That is the view from space behind us.
And the Tampa Bay area, home to an estimated 3.3 million people, is expected to take a direct hit.
This is destructive, life-threatening storm surge, not a safe environment to stay in.
Hurricane Milton has the potential to be the most destructive storm in a century. It's now a Category 4 storm. Forecasters say conditions will be extremely dangerous when it makes landfall. That's expected to happen either late tonight or tomorrow morning. Let's bring in CTV's Scott Hurst for more on this. Scott, what are we expecting with this storm?
Nathan, at this time in Florida, more than 20 million people, that's almost the entire population of the state, is under some sort of hurricane watch or warning or tropical storm watch. That just gives you a scope of how large this hurricane now is. And it's incredible to think that we're saying it is downgraded to a Category 4 at times, waffling back and forth between a Category 5 and a Category 4, both incredibly destructive hurricanes. And what we've been hearing from federal officials, state officials, down to the local municipal level, this is potentially a life or death situation. Hurricane Milton, in some form, will likely affect nearly the entire state. Its track has shifted a bit south of the Tampa area, but still that area is expected to receive quite a significant blow, but also the Sarasota region as well. And the possibility here, very real, of catastrophic damage. Emergency officials have been saying for days now, don't gamble with your life or the life of your loved ones. Get out if you are in the mandatory evacuation zones. And now time really is running out to get out of some of these areas, as we're already starting to see some of the outer bands of Hurricane Milton impacting parts of Florida with wind and rain. But in behind that, when the eye of the storm and the middle of the storm really starts to impact, that is when the storm surge is expected to be a significant problem. And we saw in certain areas this storm surge could be as high as 10, 12, potentially 15 feet. We're talking 3 to 4.5 meters of storm surge. And the big concern, of course, from emergency officials is that that's higher than any ceiling, most ceilings on single-story homes. And so that is incredibly dangerous if you are in your home, potentially trying to ride this out. Now, a lot of people have been heeding the warning, trying to get out of these areas that are under mandatory evacuation orders. However, roads, as you can see with the traffic video right here, roads have been slow. They've been clogged by many people, and the search for gasoline is getting more difficult, as well as some gas stations have been running out of fuel. According to some estimates from Gas Buddy, 1 in 4 gas stations in the state are now dry and have run out of fuel, Nathan.
Wow. CTV's Scott Hurst on Hurricane Milton. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Nathan.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is keeping up a media blitz this week, appearing on a wide variety of television, radio, and podcast shows.
My fellow Americans, my guest tonight is the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Please welcome back to The Late Show, Vice President Kamala Harris.
On Tuesday alone, Harris appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, The Howard Stern Show, and The View. Polls show the VP is in an extremely tight race with former President Donald Trump. Early in her campaign, Harris faced criticism for failing to appear on major media.
On this side of the border, campaigns are underway in several provinces as party leaders faced off in a heated debate in British Columbia last night.
If we want young people to stay here, we have to give them a reason to stay.
Shachi, we need hope and a plan. And that's what we're delivering for young people.
7 years, can anybody say that anything is better in British Columbia?
NDP leader David Eby is hoping to be re-elected as he faces a strong challenge from the newly prominent BC Conservative leader John Rustad. Green leader Sonia Furstenau is hoping for a strong showing that could decide the balance of power in a closely run race.
The federal inquiry into foreign interference is hearing from the Prime Minister's National Security and Intelligence Advisor, Nathalie Drouin. The Hague Commission's latest hearings are focused on ways to detect and counter foreign meddling. The inquiry will also hear from Privy Council Clerk John Hannaford as other top officials share their insights. There's about a week of hearings left at this commission, which is mandated to release its final report by year's end.
Toronto's Mayor Olivia Chow is responding to criticism today after she did not attend the vigil for the one-year anniversary of the October 7th attacks in Israel.
Chow says it was the result of an email mix-up. CTV's Natalie Johnson is live at City Hall with more on this. Natalie.
That's right, Michelle. Mayor Olivia Chow was on the defense here at City Hall today after being criticized by some members of the community and some of her colleagues for not attending such a significant event to the Jewish community and others.
2 days after the Toronto vigil that marked the one-year anniversary of the October 7th attacks in Israel, Mayor Olivia Chow was under fire for not showing up.
I regret that I missed the Jewish, the memorial, the anniversary.
Tens of thousands of Torontonians had gathered in North York for the solemn commemoration, represented by politicians from across the GTA. Chow blaming her absence on a miscommunication in her office.
My office did not did not get the email that was sent to us, and they went deep into looking through the IT, asking IT to dig things up. I don't know at this point. It doesn't matter. I wasn't there.
The organizers insist multiple email invitations were sent and say they were disappointed by her absence. Chow did not attend the 50,000-strong Walk with Israel in June or the raising of the Israeli flag at City Hall the month before that.
This was an event that saw thousands of Torontonians attend, politicians from all across the province. So surely there was an awareness in your office that went beyond a missed email from the organization behind the event?
Probably. Our office, as you know, was getting ready for council on Wednesday. We were stretched because this is council week.
Missing an email about a really important event seems like you have either real problems in your office, you aren't aware of the days of the week, or there's something more going on.
Leadership is about showing up. And, you know, we try and reiterate to the community that we're standing shoulder to shoulder with them, that they're not forgotten, that they're not alone. But on October 7th, they were alone because the mayor wasn't there. And I think she owes the Jewish community here in Toronto an apology.
The mayor stopping short of apologizing at the podium today when asked, but saying she would be saying sorry to leaders of the Jewish community.
We'll talk about how we would not miss each other again. And yes, I will apologize for not being able to make Monday evening's event.
Acknowledging the broader pain and anguish still felt in this city 1 year after the October 7th attacks, and saying hate has no place in Toronto.
The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs telling CTV News in a statement, the fact remains that we did reach out directly to Mayor Chow's office and extended an invitation for her to participate personally to her staff. We will have more from them, the organizers, tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock. Reporting live at City Hall, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. To the Middle East now, where the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah is escalating in southern Lebanon. Israeli airstrikes in Beirut overnight caused massive destruction, including the collapse of 4 residential buildings. Hezbollah forces and IDF soldiers also clashed this morning near a border town in Lebanon. Global Affairs Canada says more than 1,000 Canadians, permanent residents, and their immediate family members have traveled out of Lebanon with its assistance. There are roughly 45,000 Canadians in Lebanon.
Dozens of rockets were intercepted this morning over the city of Haifa in northern Israel. The Israeli military says Hezbollah launched more than 170 rockets across the border. CTV's Heather Wright is in Tel Aviv following the latest developments in the conflict.
As fighting continues in southern Lebanon, for the first time publicly, Hezbollah has indicated it is open to some sort of ceasefire with Israel. Now, Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel since October 7th of last year in solidarity with Hamas. But now they appear to be open to a ceasefire and not making that contingent on a ceasefire happening in Gaza. Now, this comes against the backdrop of a widening regional conflict here in the Middle East, and many countries and parties waiting to see what Israel's response to Iran's missile barrage last week will be. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, he canceled a trip to Washington, D.C. that was scheduled for today, as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to speak for the first time since August 21st with U.S. President Joe Biden. The U.S. has been very open in its encouragement of Israel to seek a proportional response to Iran's attack. The U.S. president has said a number of times that he does not support Israel going after nuclear sites, for example. And so that call between the leaders very likely to center on what Israel's response to Iran will be. And so really the region at this point is waiting to see what will happen next. Hezbollah continues to fire rockets into northern Israel. Israeli troops continue to push forward into that country, and the region waits to see what's next in this conflict that continues to expand. Back to you.
CTV's Heather Wright in Tel Aviv. This year's Nobel Prize for Chemistry has gone to 3 scientists who cracked the code of proteins. Americans David Baker and John Jumper and British computer scientist Demi Hassabis used artificial intelligence to figure out the structure of almost all known proteins. It's a puzzle scientists have been trying to solve for decades. The Nobel Prize for Literature will be awarded tomorrow. Jess.
Well, after such a warm start to the fall season, we're feeling the chill, but this really is just where we should be. What's adding to it today is the wind. It will be a gusty one with winds this afternoon with gusts upwards of 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. So if you're wearing a hat to keep warm, you may want to hold on. We're sitting at 15, so very seasonal as we head throughout the day today. And that sunset time now, but right around 6:43 p.m. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast and break down the chance of active weather before the sunshine is set to return.
No shortage of sun to start the day today, but boy, was it chilly. Definitely found myself thinking, should I be pulling out mittens?
I thought you were going to say no shorts.
Oh, no, the shorts are gone now.
Yeah, like no shorts, jackets, maybe not winter gear just yet, but it is chillier.
It is, and we're holding on in single digits now as we kind of head through the next couple of days overnight to just start the day. So I saw toques this morning. I saw people out there wearing shorts and a toque. I'm like, make up your mind. But the good news is as we head into the end of the week, it does get significantly warmer and sunnier. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, a few light clouds out there to start the day, but a beautiful shot of the city, a little light fog early on, but overall not too bad to get the day going. It's as we step into the afternoon, we watch for a few showers to make their way through west and east of the city. So the downtown core likely to stay dry. I want to switch gears for a moment there, and we're going to talk about Milton a little bit because there are so many Canadians that have family down there, properties down there, live down there part-time. A lot of the heavier rain and that storm surge is along that western coast, and we could see storm surge up to 20 feet. Elevation levels in some of those places are only at about 48, so basically you're almost halfway full of water. As we watch the storm, we'll track it over the next couple of days, but it's likely to make landfall tonight and into the day tomorrow, but it's already pushing a ton of rain onshore, and it's the width of this storm that really is also part of the challenge. And we're looking at, by the time we get to Friday, some areas along that western coast right across to areas on the east coast could see 200 to 500 millimeters of rain. That is not an insignificant number. Here at home, obviously a much different story, but we know a lot of folks are impacted because they have family and friends there. We're watching for some light scattered showers, but really and truly they're staying east and west of the core. Temperature-wise, it's cooler to northern Ontario. We're sitting at 13 right now, but that westerly wind so gusty throughout the day will make it feel a little fresher, so a sweater probably a good idea. We'll sit very seasonal at 15. The same pretty much right across the board. It's a little warmer, not by much, down through Niagara. They'll sit at 16 throughout the day today. Into this evening, It is cool. We're sitting at 5. We should be at 6, so we're seasonal, but it just feels so cool in comparison to the double-digit nights we've had as of late. Areas out towards Bancroft will sit at 3, but into that southwestern corner, we are looking at some frost advisories in place because it's going to be chilly from Chatham-Kent all the way up towards Caledon. Toronto not under a frost advisory yet, but we're knocking on the door of that cooler weather. The shower activity we are expecting today is thanks to a trough that does kind of dissipate as we head throughout the day, but that's what brings the chance of showers as we head through our afternoon, and then high pressure pushes in just in time for the end of the week. The bulk of the active weather again west and east of the city. As we head throughout the afternoon, we'll see plenty of sunny breaks out there. So although it isn't necessarily a super warm day, it is very seasonal, and we'll see a decent amount of sun. The wind will start to lessen as we head in towards the evening and overnight. And then as high pressure pushes in, it moves out all that rain, all that cloud cover, and we have a beautiful end to the work and school week before we step in towards the long weekend. And a wind direction change as we head in towards our Friday will not only help kind of clear things up, but it'll warm things up as well. As we head in towards our day today, again, the chance of showers is there, but more so west and east of the downtown core, so kind of the west and east ends of the GTA, but very seasonal today. Cloudy to start the day tomorrow, and then that high pressure rolls in. That clears out the sky, a much more stable air mass, and beautiful for your Friday and Saturday. Back into the 20s as we round out the work and school week, and then as we step into the beginning of the long weekend, it gets a little cooler as we go throughout some scattered showers on our Sunday, but overall, it is not bad. Just keep the sweater handy. Michelle, Nathan, I'll send things back to you.
Thank you, Jess. Another beluga whale has died at Marineland, the 4th since last November at the Niagara Falls Park. 16 belugas and 1 killer whale have died at the park since 2019. Provincial Animal Welfare Services has been investigating Marineland since 2020. A spokesperson for Solicitor General Michael Kersner says inspectors have been at the park 200 times.
Coming up amid the healthcare crisis, when millions of Canadians do not have a family doctor, government red tape is making it difficult to bring in doctors from south of the border. Details after the break.
More than 6.5 million Canadians still don't have access to a family doctor. Many are leaving the profession because of burnout and pay, and efforts to train and recruit new ones aren't happening quickly enough.
As CTV's Avis Favreau tells us, one American doctor's plans to come north are tied up in red tape.
Inside this medical clinic near Guelph, Ontario, are patient exam rooms sitting empty.
Working as our storage space for now.
With over 1,000 people waiting for a family doctor here, the husband and wife physicians who run the clinic can't meet the demand.
6 to 10 times a day, can you accept someone as a patient? And I have over 1,600 patients, and I just can't keep saying no. We need help.
Mano and Pooja Kaushik hired an American doctor, Ashley Duncan. She wants to move to Ontario. It's closer to her parents in Michigan, and she and husband Matt like the safety and lifestyle in Canada. But she's been waiting 2 years and counting.
I would just like to see the process be more transparent and to be quicker.
Duncan described a long bureaucratic process, saying it took 9 months for her medical credentials to be certified, discovered her application with Immigration Canada uses a point system and that she didn't have enough to be allowed to apply to immigrate.
We didn't work in Canada, so we lost points for that. We don't have, first-degree relatives in Canada, so we lost points for that.
The Canadian clinic also had to provide a labor market impact assessment for permission to bring her in as a foreign worker, which was then rejected because the clinic itself wouldn't be paying her.
They wouldn't approve the LMIA because I'm going to be paid by the government, which just does not make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to the patients here either.
Despite what we hear that they're trying to fast track people to come into Canada, he's having over 2 years of problems. He cannot get this person to come in, and it's mind-boggling.
Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada told CTV News in a statement it continues to prioritize work permit applications from workers in 24 essential occupations in healthcare. But with 6.5 million Canadians without primary care, getting more family doctors into the system quickly is critical.
I think the will is there. I just don't think the system is set up to be efficient at this stage.
If we don't get help, how long can we sustain this? This is not sustainable.
The Medical Council of Canada, which is the entry point for physicians who want to come here, says it's working on a strategic plan to help them navigate this complex process. Dr. Duncan, meanwhile, says her application is still in progress as she waits. Avis Favreau, CTV News, Toronto.
The Ministry of Health says 4 people are sick across the province after eating beef tongue contaminated with listeria. The number of brands of jellied beef tongue have been recalled, and more could still be pulled from shelves at multiple stores as Canada's Food Inspection Agency investigates. Anyone who has the product should toss it or return it. Listeriosis can cause vomiting, fever, and aches, and in severe cases, death. Toronto Public Health has issued its own warning about listeriosis cases at a specific retailer just a few days prior.
More women in Ontario are now able to book breast cancer screenings without a doctor's referral.
The province has lowered the age to request a mammogram to 40, and as CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan reports, it's in an effort to detect breast cancer sooner.
Fernanda Dominguez Perdicaris calls herself a breast cancer patient in survivorship. She got a mammogram at age 49 by a fluke. Because her health was so good, her doctor said she didn't need to come in for another checkup for more than a year.
So that's why they said, okay, let's go ahead with the breast cancer screening now.
And when her ultrasound technician finished,
she said, I'm going to go get the radiologist to come in and talk to you. But I just want to tell you, I'm really glad that you didn't wait till you were 50.
But now women with no family history of breast cancer and no suspicious lumps can simply ask for a screening.
Definitely, we are seeing breast cancer in younger women. It now means they can get an appointment without having to wait.
It's actually a win-win for women in Ontario. Not only do they get the chance to have their cancers found earlier, which gives them a better survival, it also lets them get treated with less aggressive therapy than when cancers are found later.
And Dr. Paula Gordon says it will save the province money.
The average cost to treat a stage 1 cancer is about, all in, $39,000. If a woman has a stage 4 cancer and it's HER2 positive, it could be over $500,000 per patient. Now you take that money and spend it on screening more women in the 40s, there are going to be fewer advanced cancers.
But Sidra Lone says all age restrictions for mammograms should be removed. She was just 38 when she was diagnosed this past spring after hearing several young colleagues were also diagnosed with breast cancer. Her first doctor said she didn't need screening yet, so she lied to a second doctor.
She was the one who asked me, do you have a family history? So I just said, I do.
It was a lie, she says, saved her life. 85% of breast cancer patients have no family history of the disease. Women aged 40 to 50 can now book their own screening appointment. Contact the Ontario Breast Screening Program for more information. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
It is a shocking allegation from the lead singer of Canadian band Sum 41.
Derek Whibley is accusing a former manager and member of the band Treble Charger of sexual abuse, which he denies. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin reports.
Faster we're falling, we're stopping, stalling,
Through Sum 41's rise to chart-topping mega success, frontman Derek Whibley alleges he had a dark secret.
He wanted to have a sexual relationship with me.
In his memoir and a series of interviews about the book, he alleges a longtime band manager pressured him into a non-consensual sexual relationship. In the book, Walking Disaster, My Life Through Heaven and Hell, he writes of recording triumphs and of trashed hotel rooms, celebrity-studded Hollywood parties. He says through it all, he was ashamed to tell bandmates their manager may have groomed and pressured me from a young age to be in a sexual relationship with him.
Hi, I'm Greg Norrie from Treble Charger.
That manager is Greg Norrie, also the frontman of a band called Treble Charger. He was the manager of Sum 41 from the late 90s to 2004. Norrie has denied all allegations. Whibley met him when he was 16 and describes him as a local hero to him. He says Norrie first kissed him in a bathroom at a warehouse party when he was 18 and high on ecstasy. Whibley says he long thought it was his own fault, but one of the few people he told was his first wife, Avril Lavigne.
When I told her what it was, she's like, that's abuse. I'm like, well, not really. I mean, I said, I went along with it. And, you know, that was the first time I'd ever heard the word associated with that situation.
In interviews, Whibley said he figured he would take this to his grave, but that writing his memoir was part of closing a chapter of his life.
Norrie has not replied to a request for comment, but told the Globe and Mail that the allegations are false and that he's hired a lawyer. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Hugh Jackman is planning a 12-show residency in New York City after the success of Deadpool versus Wolverine. Co-star Ryan Reynolds helped out with the announcement.
Hey, Ryan, you want to come to one of my live performances at Radio City Music Hall?
Wait, you're going to be like singing and dancing and joking live?
Yep.
Am I going to be in it?
Absolutely.
I'll break out the eyeliner.
The pair then clarified that Reynolds will not take part, but Jackman will be performing a series of 12 live shows in the Big Apple. Hugh Jackman Live from New York with Love begins in January.
Still to come, tapping into new technology to help protect the delivery of your online purchases. Details after the break.
Many of us shop online and have packages delivered to our doorstep, but you might worry sometimes your item won't be there by the time you get home.
Amazon has just launched a new service where delivery drivers are given access to your garage to keep your parcels safe. CTV's Pat Foran explains on this Consumer Alert.
The largest online shopping service in the world says its Amazon Key in-garage service will now allow delivery drivers to open your garage door, drop off your package, and then close the door, even if you're not home.
It's a service to make getting your packages easy, safe, and secure. In addition to the traditional kind of door drop, we're able to gain access into the garage to deposit packages.
It's basically linking into your home Wi-Fi.
Amazon is partnering with the Chamberlain Group, which makes garage door openers and already has existing MyQ Smart technology. This device sells for about $30 and allows the delivery driver access to your garage.
This is the MyQ Smart Garage Control. If your garage door operator on its own does not have the MyQ and Wi-Fi symbol on it, you can retrofit in your garage door operator to become a smart garage with this simple device.
Garage delivery makes sense as more customers buy big-ticket items they would rather have stored indoors. And while theft is an issue, garage delivery is also about protecting packages from elements like rain and snow. Amazon says drivers involved in the program are thoroughly vetted, and the garage door can only be opened once.
We background check all of our delivery drivers. In addition to that, there's an added layer of security, right? So multi-factor authentication. They're also strictly instructed to only go 5 feet into the garage, and they wouldn't be able to get back in unless they had another package to deliver.
Homeowners may also have security cameras which allow them to monitor the delivery in real time or check it later. Amazon is offering in-garage delivery free of charge until the end of March, but after that, there'll be an added fee of $1.99 per delivery. The company believes many of its Prime members will sign up for the program, saying it's already delivered more than 60 million packages inside garages in the U.S. and around the world. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Speaking of Amazon, if you're planning to do some shopping during Amazon Prime Days this week, buyers beware.
Experts are warning there's a scam circulating involving fake websites. Here's CTV's Paul Hollingsworth on what to look out for.
Prices are down, online bargains are on the rise, but this shopper chose to stay offline during Amazon's big deal days.
Because I think the scammers are right on it.
According to the cybersecurity company Checkpoint Software Technologies, more than 1,000 new Amazon-related websites popped up in the past 30 days. Almost 90% were deemed suspicious. Ritesh Kotak says fraudsters are finding creative ways to scam customers.
We're going to see refund scams where you're claimed a refund and you got to click on a link, but in actuality, they're trying to steal your information.
There are also third-party scams.
You think you're buying a legitimate product, but in actuality, it's a bait and switch, or you're buying counterfeit.
Retail analyst Bruce Winder says Amazon is urging customers to not fall for fake urgency when they are pressured to pay right away.
Trying to get you to buy now or do it now
when there's really no reason to.
These scams are not just online. Scammers have also been known to contact Amazon customers directly by phone. Amazon has an entire division dedicated to protecting its customers from being ripped off.
They've also have a way that sort of a hotline, a tip line that you can write in to Amazon and let them know on email or on their website if you think something is a scam so they can verify it.
Amazon also has online warnings and tips on its verified website to educate customers so they can avoid being scammed. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
The convenience store giant behind Circle K isn't giving up its hope of taking over the Japanese owner of its rival, 7-Eleven. 7 & I Holdings Co. Limited says it's received a revised, confidential, private and non-binding proposal from Alimentation Couche-Tard. The Quebec-based business hasn't revealed further details about the proposal, but Reuters reports the new bid values the Japanese company at $47 billion U.S., a 22% boost from an earlier offer made in August. 7 & I said the first offer undervalued it and didn't fully address regulatory concerns.
And some new turbulence in the aviation industry. Boeing and the union that represents 33,000 striking employees at the company say talks between the two have broken down and no new ones are scheduled. 2 days of federally mediated talks this week concluded with the two sides still far apart, with wages and pension changes at the core of the disagreement. Standard & Poor's estimated the strike is costing Boeing $1 billion U.S. per month.
Authorities in Brazil have restored access to X after the social network was banned for more than a month across the South American country. Owner Elon Musk had spent months locked in a dispute with a Supreme Court justice over content moderation and misinformation concerns. X, formerly Twitter, was eventually blocked amid refusals to block certain accounts, pay outstanding fines, and appoint a legal representative in Brazil. The company eventually reversed course in what has been one of its largest markets, and the suspension was lifted Tuesday.
The number of condos for sale across the country appears to be on the rise as sellers anticipate growing demand from buyers. That's according to a new report from RE/MAX Canada on condo sale activity from January through August. It found that condo inventory grew the most nationwide in BC's Fraser Valley, but it was followed by the GTA, which saw a nearly 53% a year-over-year surge in units listed. RE/MAX says dropping interest rates and looser lending policies will see demand pick up later this year and into 2025. The GTA was the only region where average condo prices declined year over year by nearly 2% to around $733,000.
Coming up, everything Coca-Cola. A Gatineau man shows off his vast and valuable collection of the iconic brand's memorabilia. It's one of the most iconic brands in the world, and for some, Coca-Cola is more than just a drink.
One man in Gatineau has such an extensive and valuable Coca-Cola collection, he doesn't even want his last name used. CTV's Peter Sperling paid him a visit.
For Claude, Coca-Cola is more than just a sweet drink.
Nice cold Coca-Cola.
He has a thirst for collecting everything Coke.
Yeah, you know, it's a really iconic brand.
He estimates he's one of thousands in Canada who seek out and purchase items with the iconic logo on it.
I think it's just people are innately interested in it.
His Gatineau kitchen and dining area filled with more than 150 pieces, from original signs, lamps, cutlery, a still-sealed original bottle of Coke from 1905.
Ever been tempted to crack that thing open to see what it tastes like?
I've thought about it, but I don't want to just drink it and then, you know, something bad happens.
One of his most prized items, this more than 125-year-old syrup dispenser.
That they gave to high-volume Coke distributors, soda fountains, and pharmacies. This is from 1896.
He's been collecting for a decade. It all started with this straw holder.
This is what catapulted the frenzy.
When Claude faced a health challenge.
Well, I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and it was stage 4, so it was really serious. And I went through a year of battling it, and it was tough.
He got through it, and afterwards started collecting.
I always had an interest in Coca-Cola, so I thought I would start collecting slowly, and it just kind of mushroomed from there.
Mushroomed to items like This original vending machine from 1956 that he found in Ottawa. This office fountain machine from the 80s.
It was very popular for several years.
And yes, there's even a Coca-Cola cuckoo clock. But does he drink Coke?
I'm more preferable now to Diet Coke.
Just don't offer him a Pepsi.
No, I'm Coke all the way.
Peter Sperling, CTV News.
Right.
Impressive
Rare.
collection. Yeah. Get us up to speed on the weather forecast.
A little windy as we head throughout the day today, so it will add to that chill that we have in the air. But the good news is, heading into the rest of the week, it does get significantly sunnier and warmer. But we have to get through today first. We're watching for showers west and east of the core, but the GTA likely to see a couple of sprinkles throughout the day today. We're cooler but seasonal as we kind of mark the middle of the week. And as we head in towards our Thursday, the sun will come out in the afternoon and a beautiful start to the long weekends.
Thank you, Jess. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here, have a wonderful afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.